knowledge organization traditional method থেকে so it will see control vocabulary based taxonomy theory ontology all but social bookmarking it indicates completely different type of approach. Functions of social bookmarking method for organizing and storing information. Social bookmarking is a type of sense making or it allows users to organize personal information their way, connects users to other related topics and ideas, gives the users the ability to sort the wheat from the chaff, more narrowed focus, fed by human as opposed to computers, collective wisdom, tags are ranked by popularity. Tagger ranking হচ্ছে popularity basis wisdom of the crowd. Connects users to other users, allows users to interact with other users' methods, eavesdropping on someone else's thought pattern. Social bookmarking characteristics. Common elemental characteristics of social bookmarking or taxonomic systems are number one tag, a single word label that is applied to an object or URL. Tagging. Tag and tagging is different. Tag means it's a single word ke bolche. And tagging is the process of assigning that word or the process of organizing an object by assigning a label or tag. Tag assigned for a process that is tagging. Tag bundle, a group of tags linked by another tag or super tag. Tag cloud, a visual weighted list of a set or subset of tags that is tag cloud. This is the example of tag cloud already তোমরা দেখেছো এখানে দেখো যেমন ক্যামেরা ফোন পার্টি এই টার্মগুলো অনেক বড় বোল্ডে আসছে তার মানে কি এগুলো অনেক বেশি পপুলার ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি বেশি কিন্তু খুব ছোট ছোট টার্ম তাদের ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি অনেক কম আছে পপুলারিটি অনেক কম ট্যাগিং ইস্যুস there are several issues whether it is good or bad dynamic distributed classification versus mob indexing, related tag networks and no control vocabulary. Tag cloud shows extent of collection, poor browsing experience, user terminology versus known thesaurus, diversity versus consensus by a mob or no consensus. What's a tagging issue? Whether it is good or bad. Good supporter logic is a bad supporter logic is. Tagging issues. Spelling variation, spelling mistake is very common issue. Potentially mistaken term uses, acronyms, homonyms, synonyms. Sesquipedalians, terms made by sticking many smaller terms together. For example, information seeking behavior. Non-subject tags, that is affective tags, time and task tags. Patterns in tagging, 3 studies of tags. Are categories emerging in social tagging that will complement those developed through professional methods? What does tag convergence and co-work usage suggest about the utility of tagging? What implications do the use of affective or time and task related tags have for the organization of information? Convergence and divergence in tags. When enough people tag a site, a set of more frequently applied tags will emerge that start to look like a reasonable description of the item. Tag trends do not follow standard power laws for term usage. That is 80-20 rule, যেটা সাইন্টোমেট্রিক্সে আমরা দেখি particularly Broadcast law or Bradford's law. The drop-off trend to be much slower at first before certainly returning to the normal power law. Tag frequency curve এবং গ্রাফ দেখা যায় actually high frequency to low frequency ফলটা এরকম একটা asymptotic curve হয় exponential decay type curve. Tagging patterns consensus forms after a certain number of users have tagged an item. Suppose first item by 2250 people, second only tagged by 49. Also frequency graphs suggest a relative consensus on terms, but tag lists and forward graphs do not. It's a graph the regular curve pattern. High frequency tags used frequently, but not necessarily with other high frequency tags. Also, tagging patterns may show group consensus and trends in user communities. Actually, we wisdom of the crowd. It is not any isolated wisdom, but wisdom of the crowd. Some tag lists are given here. You see, these are the tag lists. Over graph of tag, dimension 1, 2. Comparison of tags with control vocabulary. It's very important. Tag and control vocabulary compare. First, tag use and types of tags on articles compared to subject heading on site like cases, but indexes journal articles which are more material. Most common relationship between the term was related but not in the thesaurus. Next most common related term and then equivalence. Now number 2, study comparing tags with an LCSH on library theme without further context. It is extremely difficult to tell whether an apparently anomalous tag in a tag cloud is a mistake. Library theme is the library website, and universal or global library website you can say. Library theme you can find both tags and also LCSH tag. You can carry out a comparative study. In a comparative study you cannot say that tags are much more inferior or full of mistakes compared to standardized or control vocabulary tags. Non-subject tags. Sometimes interest or affective tags are very popular. For instance, cool, fun, funny, etc. In delicious tag. To read and fun are popular tags on all 3 sides. Affective terms are here more frequent on scientific life and conscious than expected. Biological articles more often listed as to read, math and physics as fun. Utility of tagging. Tagging can be useful for providing a good picture of how users see the material. It is important. Actually, a particular object, different users how see. একটা পার্টিকুলার অবজেক্টকে বা ইউআরএলকে বিভিন্ন ইউজার কি চোখে দেখছে তার যে ভেরিয়েশন সেটা ট্যাগের মাধ্যমে ধরা পড়বে দ্যাট ইজ নট অ্যাট অল পসিবল বাই কন্ট্রোল ভোকাবুলারি ইউজার অর্থাৎ ট্যাগ অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইন্ডিকেট ইউজার্স views, users' opinions about URLs. Steve Museum project which found that users use very different terminology and tag specific items seen in the picture which have been absent from professional catalog. It is in অনেক স্ট্র্যাটেজি দেখা গেছে কন্ট্রোল ভোকাবুলারি টার্মের সাথে কিন্তু ইউজারের টার্ম ম্যাক্সিমাম কেসে ম্যাচ করে না ট্যাগিং ডিসকাশন Tagging has all the problems of free text search automatic indexing, but tag groups tend to converge on a useful set of terms after a threshold number of users. Users use some terminology which is rare or completely absent from subject heading lists. Time and task tags. User terms often not part of formal thesaurus. Social bookmarking characteristics already we discussed. Tag, tagging, tag bundle, etc. So, taxonomy is nothing but users' vocabulary. In information metrical system, the vocabulary used to organize content may be based upon the choices of the authors of the materials, the designer of the IRS, or the designer of the control vocabulary in place. Taxonomies reflect users' choice in diction, terminology, and precision. Taxonomies can adapt very quickly to changes in user needs and vocabulary. And adding new terms to a taxonomy incurs virtually no cost for either the user of the system. Taxonomies and online communities. Taxonomies create a sense of community amongst their users. Most social bookmarking managers will recommend new links and other members folders or sites that are strongly related to an individual member by analyzing his or her linking pattern. As soon as users assign a tag to an item, they can see the cluster of items carrying the same tag. This feedback loop leads to a form of asymmetrical communication between users through metadata. The users of a system negotiate the meaning of the terms in the taxonomy. ambiguity. The term in a taxonomy may have inherent ambiguity as different users apply terms to documents in different ways. The tag "and" has been used to refer to actor network theory. And both are polysomy. The polysemous tag port would refer to a sweet fortified wine. A porthole, a place for locating and unloading ships, loading and unloading ships. The left-hand side of a ship or aircraft, or a channel, endpoint in a communication systems. তার মানে পোর্ট বলতে কত কি বোঝায়? একটা ওয়াইন ব্র্যান্ড, পোর্টহোল, একটা place for loading, unloading ship, the left-hand side of a ship, or aircraft, বন্দর, অনেক কিছু বোঝায়. These are polysemous synonyms. Taxonomies provide for no synonym control. The terms Mac, Macintosh and Apple, for example, are used to describe Apple Macintosh computers. Both singular and plural forms of terms appear, the flowers and flower, thus creating a number of redundant headings. This is the problem, undoubtedly. Specificity. Related terms that describe an item vary along a continuum of specificity ranging from very general to very specific. So, for example, documents tag Perl and JavaScript may be too specific for some users, while a document tag programming may be too general for others. Syntax. Taxonomies provide no guidelines for the use of compound headings, punctuation, word order, and so forth. For example, should one use the tag vegan cooking or cooking vegan? Incorrect uses. Tags could be applied incorrectly. The term archaeology, for example, used to tag items pertaining to both dinosaurs and primitive microbes. Consensus. Users strive to achieve a degree of consensus over the general meaning of tags. As a URL receives more and more bookmarks, the set of tags used in those bookmarks becomes stable across different users. This stabilization is facilitated through imitation and shared knowledge. Their research shows users the tags most commonly used by others who bookmark the same URL already. So, taxonomies and control vocabularies. Taxonomies are not necessarily antithetical to control vocabularies. Once you have a preliminary system in place, you can use the most common tags to develop a control vocabulary that truly speaks the user's language. You need both actually in different contexts. Other uses of taxonomies could be used to organize resources for an intranet, course collection, etc. And taxonomies could be used to enhance the customizable features of library catalog. Clients could organize and tag items of interest from the catalog as well as external sources. Advantages of social bookmarking: low cognitive cost, self-moderating and democratic, flexible, inclusive, adaptive, currency is the most important part, immediate feedback, usability, serendipitous discovery. And disadvantages: first, low precision recall due to synonymous and polysemous tags. Synonyms and polysemous is a problem, no doubt, basic level problem. Granularity of tags, too specific, too general. Lack of hierarchy, no parent-child broad-narrow relationship. High susceptible to malicious users. Meta-noise, incorrectly malicious tags. And fails as a search system, bad at finding specific terms. Conclusions: taxonomies are undoubtedly fraught with the problems typical of uncontrolled vocabularies. But their growing popularity suggests that people are interested and motivated in assigning their own metadata to items of interest. One cannot help but wonder whether such enthusiasm for metadata would be the same if people were asked to use only prescribed and standardized vocabularies. Taxonomy প্রচুর প্রবলেম আছে because it is uncontrolled vocabulary. There's a problem, all are reflected through taxonomies, obviously. But taxonomy is gaining popularity highly day by day. That is true, and also true for practical purpose. Controlled vocabulary retrieval rate তুলনায় uncontrolled vocabulary retrieval কিন্তু much more higher. It is true. Therefore, in spite of so many problems, taxonomy is gaining popularity and would be popular, very popular. The cognitive and behavioral aspects of functional use. Some other areas are given here. Functional is in libraries. Libraries can continue to rely exclusively on in-house cataloging. We can achieve our overall goals while allowing new mechanisms along the way. Users that want additional sources of metadata, we must match appropriate metadata needs to the tasks users are best equipped to perform. Good interfaces for metadata collection will be key. We must use the best ideas for user participation and adapt them for the library environment. Next, let us discuss ontology. What is an ontology? An ontology is an explicit specification of a conceptualization as indicated by Thomas Gruber. Also, an ontology is a logical theory accounting for the intended meaning of a formal vocabulary. Nicola Guerin. Definition by Webster's International Dictionary. A theory concerning the kinds of entities and specifically the kinds of abstract entities that are to be admitted to a language system. Actually, third definition inclined to more linguistic. In order to better understand what an ontology is, let's make one cup of tea. Now, what is the specific goal of our ontology? Ontology bolte ki buঝি? Relationship between different entities. Relation. It is the crafts work. It is the heart and soul of the concept ontology. Now, when ontology is limited or confined within a particular domain, then that is known as domain ontology. Suppose a cup of tea. Let us see the ontology of a cup of tea. What is it? Now, the specific goal is to describe the process of making tea in order to have it automated, to evaluate the quality of a specific cup of tea, to evaluate the skills of an apprentice tea maker, to choose the best type of cup of tea according to time and need, to allow tea houses to share differently structured data, and so on. What is required in order to make a cup of tea? আচ্ছা, এক কাপ চা তৈরি করতে যা যা দরকার তাকে আমরা ব্রডলি চারটে ক্লাসে ক্যাটেগরাইজ করতে পারি, চারটে ক্লাসে ভাগ করতে পারি। সেটা কি? ইনগ্রেডিয়েন্টস, ইউটেন্সিলস, অ্যাকশনস, মেজারমেন্টস। What are the ingredients? Tea, water, milk or lemon, sugar. What are the utensils? বাসনপত্র। Kettle, teapot, tea strainer, cup, spoon. What are the actions? Boiling the water, pouring the boiling water into the teapot, pouring the water out of the teapot, simmering some fresh water. What are the measurements? Temperature of water, duration of the infusing process. Note that there is a hierarchy among these things. Ingredients. There are two types of ingredients. Required ingredients, optional ingredients. Tea, water required. চা পাতা জল ছাড়া তোমার চা হবে না। বাট দুধ, লেবু, চিনি এগুলো হচ্ছে অপশনাল, এগুলো ছাড়াও চা হয়। ইউটেন্সিল কি আছে? কেটল, টিপট। Actions: boiling the water, and measurements, temperature of the water, duration of the infusing process. Now, are we sure all of us understand these things the same way? No. The question is, what is an ingredient? What is an required ingredient? What is an optional ingredient? How can we describe each of these things? First, sugar. Sugar ke amra koto bhabe describe korte pari. Chini to lagbe cha korte. It's very easy to say. There are several origins of sugar. Wheat, maple, or cane. Color, maybe brown or white. Form, castor lumps or liquid or candy or granulated. What about fructose and aspartame? Let's create new classes and subclasses. Sweeteners. Sugar na bole আমি যদি বলি sweetener, which makes sweet কত রকম হতে পারে? Natural sweeteners, dyed sweeteners, artificial sweeteners. Natural sweeteners means sugars, fructose. Fructose also used as dyed sweeteners. Aspartame also as dyed sweeteners and both artificial sweeteners. So sweetener is the more generalized term or more generic term used for sugar. The development of an ontology is an iterative process. An ontology so needs to be evaluated, revised, and continuously. Do we really need all these refinements about sweetness? Not necessarily. Depends on our purpose. Perhaps we might be just as happy with sweetness. There are several types: cane, beet, fructose, aspartame. Several forms, lumps, granulated. So there is no one correct way to model a domain. There are always visible alternatives. So how the things are interrelated? Let us now see. This is the way. How these things are interrelated. Water, boiling the water, kettle. Now, so there are so many things about the simple cup of tea. So ontologies are related to the concept of knowledge representation. What is knowledge representation? A surrogate for what exists in the world, a set of decisions about how and what to see in the world, ontological commitments, a fragmentary theory of intelligent wisdom. যেমন দেখো, for one cup of tea, কত ingredients আমার দরকার, কত component দরকার, and what is the relationship among them. What is knowledge representation? A set of ideas about how to organize information in ways that facilitate recommended inferences, a language in which we say things about the world. It's not a data structure. It is just structure of knowledge or knowledge representation which emphasizes interrelationship among different facets. So for general features, can we draw from all of these definitions a given field or domain of interest within the boundaries of which things are assumed to exist to be and about which we wish to talk in a formalized, explicit and semantically consistent way. So web plus knowledge representation indicates a semantic way. When knowledge is represented in web, that is semantic way. This is the just block diagram of a semantic way. Schematic diagram of a semantic way. Content, context meaning tends to intelligent searching and what is actually meaning. My document, critical searching and my master. So what is semantic way? Any content may find its own place in a given ontology. So you just need to link content to its relevant place in the relevant ontology. How to create such links? There are several ways. So this is just the schematic diagram of the semantic way. So let us finish the domain ontology.